Coming up in today's episode, if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling a little grumpy, I see that not as like, oh no, I'm feeling grumpy. I try to see it more as like this office of like 10 or 20 employees, and one of them showed up and is grumpy first thing in the morning. You set the tone and the attitude and the standards of the office.
Oh my god,
Good
I'm
stuff,
gonna have
right?
so much fun with this.
Welcome to episode 95 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about manifestation and how repetition breeds results. Kyra, this was your topic of choice for the day, so why don't you intro the topic for us?
Okay, so I was thinking to myself, and I was thinking how I've kept myself so grounded and kept myself so amazing, kept myself so on the right path, and ultimately got myself where I am today. You know, just getting ready to, speak on stages at schools, being trained to be a speaker, running my own business, being signed as a model, keeping my body right, all of these things, I was reflecting, and I wouldn't be here today if I literally did not repeat the same fucking things in my head every single day, despite anything else that was going on in my life. And the simple key of just repeating something in your head every single day.
What are some things that you find yourself saying to yourself every day?
Well, sometimes it depends on like the certain situation. Okay, so believe it or not, there's actually something called a hangover panic attack. And it happens when you wake up and you're hungover and you're trying to focus on something and you can't because you're just hungover. You have like alcohol in your system, you're hungover, you can't. So it causes you to have a panic attack. And it happened to me when I was at work one day, when I was working at PETA Plus. You guys remember when I had that little job? And I told my manager, I was like, my boss, whatever, I was like, I have to step outside because I was having a panic attack, and I kept repeating to myself. I was just pinching myself, and I was saying, I am here now and I'm safe. I am here now and I'm safe. I am here now and I'm safe. And I'm telling you, I was out there for 15 minutes repeating the same words in my head. Do you know how many times that is? And guess what? All because I sat there and talked to myself, I started to feel better. I started to feel like I was here. I started to feel like I was okay. I started to feel like I was safe and that I could go throughout my day.
That's cool because a lot of people suffer from panic attacks, and that's a really interesting solution to that. So, it definitely sounds like a grounding strategy. So you're pinching yourself, you're saying, I'm here now, and you just repeated this. So how long did it take for you to like calm yourself down and end the panic attack?
I think that it took me about 15 minutes, and even after the 15 minutes, I was still a little wobbly. Like I could finish my job, but like I couldn't wait to get out of there. Whereas before, I like literally couldn't even look at anybody or do anything because I was having a panic attack. So yeah, it took about like 15 minutes for that repetition to kick in.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think the repetition piece is often overlooked because it just seems, well, so repetitive. But what's an example? It reminds me of the Bob Doyle
Okay.
episode, sort of, because he talked about stories. There's a great soundbite where he was saying that we tell ourselves these false stories about our limitations. And when we talked about pretending to be the person that does achieve the goals you want to achieve, like playing that role, he said sometimes his clients say, but Bob, that's not me. That's like I'm just acting. It's not real. It's fake, right? And his response was, well, neither is your other role of you being small. And so how about you tell yourself better lies? And I was like, dang, that's gold right there. 100% gold.
Holy fucking shit. Actually, that's gold right there.
Yeah.
That's some gold.
So, and if you think about like the whole acting thing, like the immersion, maybe repetition achieves the immersion effect. Like if you say it over and over enough, you kind of start to crack through that. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
do. When I was like 12 and 13, my mom, oh my god, I wasn't allowed to go to parties. I like had to be home at 7 p.m. on the nose while all of my other friends were allowed to stay out until 10 p.m., right? So I had to, come home. So when I actually really, really wanted to go out, I had to lie. It was pretty shitty. I hated doing it, but I had to lie. And I swear on everything I love, if I knew that I had to lie to my mom, I was fucking practicing for like a week before. I was like, okay, how am I going to say this to her? How is she going to believe it? Is she going to want to talk to their dad? Can I have her? Can I somehow get the dad on the phone before we go out to make it seem like we're home? Can I come up with can I take a picture? I'll have to take a picture in my friend's bed, laying down, sleeping, all snuggled up, or with a spoon in hand, or with a picture in hand. So that way, when my mom asks, I can have the perfect fucking lie and I can make her believe it. Right? So I had to practice that every day. Now, we seem to think that there's a difference when we grow up. We seem to think that there's a difference and that maybe it's shameful. Like, you tell your friend you've been practicing something for a week and they go, you've been rehearsing this in your room for a week? You've been rehearsing this conversation with me in your room alone for a week? That's weird. Well, as on the other side of that, it really needs to be, you've been rehearsing in your room for a week. Wow, you care that much. You want to connect with me that much. You want to make sure that this goes your way that much that you're going to sit here and rehearse in your room the perfect alignment. That is fucking beautiful.
That's really cool because I think the word practice does sort of get a bad
Right?
rap or almost has a childish connotation. The way you would hear a young kid say, oh, I'm going to piano practice, or I have to go to swim practice, or a high school student say, oh yeah, I got to go to hockey practice. It's like, okay, that's cute. Yeah, that's a little kid thing. But it's like, when do you ever hear an adult be like, oh, I have to go to this practice. I have to go to that
Mm-hmm.
practice. But adults can practice too. In fact, we should, right?
Definitely agreed. Definitely agreed. And I feel like, it's just really true. Like this thought of repetition, like, if you I understand that some of our viewers are in the beginning of of their journey and some of our viewers are far into their journey. Now I really don't mind how far you are in. Like if you're super super experienced, even, you still need to never underestimate the power of the repetition of a thought. So like right now, I'm doing great. I'm doing, so well. But guess what? I still need to repeat in my head every day that I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am loved. I am cared for. I am deeply and divinely held. I am deeply and divinely protected. And I need to remind myself these things because if I don't, guess what? Other thoughts are going to come in. And one day, 2 years later, when I thought everything was okay, guess what? One day I'm going to wake up and realize that it's not okay anymore because I forgot the simplicity of repetition.
Yeah, like those thoughts, if you don't say those positive thoughts or affirmations, I should say, then I think the mind will probably say the opposite to itself silently, and it will loop those negative thoughts. So you'll be looping thoughts like, oh, I don't know if I'm beautiful, or maybe I'm not supported by people, right? And I think we all know what it feels like to have a negative looping thought like that. It just plays on repeat like a song, right? And so we have to interrupt that and kind of consciously implant these positive thoughts. So repetition can go either way. It can be repetition in our favor, or it could be repetition of a negative thought that then holds us back.
Completely understood and agreed with. And I like that you said that it's kind of like counterintuitive thought that comes up if you're not like completely on your shit, because I feel like, so for the past like year, I've just been so busy with Soul Design Future. I've been reaping a lot of long held manifestations. There's just so much coming to fruition that I forgot the simple power of repetition. And I think that what happened to me was those counterintuitive thoughts, right? So a year ago, when this kind of begun, right, the counterintuitive thought would come in and I would wave it off, because it's like, no, I'm, this and that. But over time, if you depend too much on that work that you've already done and you think that like it's going to stay, then over time, those thoughts, those counterintuitive thoughts, or polar opposite thoughts, we can call them, those polar opposite thoughts are going to come in and they're going to start sneaking in and sneaking in and sneaking in. And over time, next thing you know, they've inhabited your mind. So like you just said, and like Robert just said, which is amazing, is that this is just a proven fact that anything that you repeat in your head will come true. And sometimes it's easier to look at the detrimental way first, right? So like, I repeated, I let for so long slip into my mind that maybe I'm not supported. Maybe I don't have supportive friends. Maybe I'm not as great as I think I am. So then after time, I now have slipped into that reality, and it's lonely there. It's not fun, and I come out of it and I say, wait a minute. And I go back and I think and I say, wait a minute, I am really supported. And then my mind starts going back to all of the times that I've been supported, all of the times that I felt supported. And then I keep doing this. I keep repeating the same things every day in my mind. And then eventually I wind up back where I want to be.
Right. And I think what happens a lot of the time is we get pulled out of that negative thought loop by a positive event on the outside. Like we get a lot of validation or likes on a social media post, or a friend or a coworker says like, hey, you did a really good job. And then finally that just pulls us out of that circular track of like, I'm not good enough, I don't think I'm worthy, blah, blah, blah. But the problem there is that it makes us dependent on that rescue person from the outside coming in and grabbing us off of the track.
But what we need to remember here is, because this is where it gets tricky, this is where you then can begin to think a thought that says, I don't need anybody's reassurance, and I don't need anybody to make me feel good. And I've fallen into this pattern before, and it's also very lonely. It's a lonely world when you don't need anybody's reassurance, when you don't need anybody to help pick you up. It turns you into this hardened version. And sure, it's definitely a nice feeling to know that you don't need anybody, to know that you can get everything from your own whim, which is true. But we need not fall into that detrimental pattern that would then tell us that it's wrong to seek congratulations from somebody else or something, because sometimes really that is the one thing that can pull us out. Sometimes we can't really find it within. Sometimes we need another human.
Well, I think that's true. Of course, there's two sides to it. It's validation, external validation is not something bad in and of itself. There's lots of positive, or lots of situations where it's a positive thing, for sure. I think what I was getting at is the it's important, as you were saying earlier, to be able to internally validate, to give yourself internal validation, so that it's not the case that the only validation you're getting is external validation.
Yeah.
It's like a missing vitamin that people could be missing out on, is the internal validation, right? Like the positive affirmation, self-affirmation.
Yeah, agreed. Which brings us back to your own personal repetition. So, like, all right, let's say, for example, I've been off for a week and I keep repeating.
You mean like
Yeah.
feeling off?
Yeah, like feeling off for a week, and I keep repeating in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm just feeling so off. Like, I'm just feeling so fucking off. Like, trust me, that is going to come into reality. And it's so easy to start repeating that in your head when you kind of feel it. So, the reason why they say that affirmations are so important is because what is going on in your life today isn't necessarily what's going on in your life a month ago. So, like, today, I wake up, and I say, I'm really getting the hang of business. Like, it's really exciting. I'm getting the hang of marketing. I'm learning all of the things that I need to learn in order for me to run an efficient business. And that's something that I repeat to myself on an everyday basis. And you know what? Guess what? In about a month, it's going to change. So my vibration is going to change. So the vibration that I'm holding myself under has to change, right? So maybe at the end of this month, I have 3 new clients, right? So at the end of this month, instead of saying, I'm really getting the hang of it, I'm saying, fuck, I'm getting this. I got this. I got this shit. Like, shit, I got 3 new clients. People are really starting to see me. I'm really starting to feel aligned. And these are the affirmations that I will then repeat in my head until the next affirmations come, because we need to maintain our current state of mind. We need to maintain that repetition of thought, that repetition of vibration, that repetition of being. And once you do that, it kind of just falls in, because you're sending so much vibration out into the world and so many signals to your subconscious that one day you really will see the effects of the things that you've been repeating in your mind.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the importance of directing your mind, like playing a leadership role when it comes to your mind, because negative thoughts will come up all the time, or they'll pass through your mind. But there's a metaphor I've used before of the mind like an office with a bunch of employees. And so if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling a little grumpy, I see that not as like, oh no, I'm feeling grumpy, like this is a problem. I see it more, or I try to see it more, as like this office of like 10 or 20 employees, and one of them showed up and is grumpy first thing in the morning. But if I'm the manager of that office, I have the power to check in with all these employees acknowledge that one of them or more is feeling grumpy, and then set the tone for the day of the office. So it's a leadership role that we play with our own mind.
Oh,
So,
can I get
can
an
I get an
amen?
for that?
Praise the heavens. That was really, really great. That was an incredible piece of information. I can honestly say that I've never thought of thinking in my mind, like if I'm waking up grumpy or I'm waking up doubtful or something, that it's just one of my employees coming into work and saying, I'm feeling doubtful today, which, excuse me, then with my humanitarian big heart, as the great boss and business owner that I am, I would walk over to my doubtful employee and I would say, my darling, what is the issue? You know, and I would obviously help them work it through and change their direction. So that is just, that's great. And trying to bring it back to repetition. So if you were to wake up every morning, check your employees, you know, see who's doing good, have a little team meeting. If you do this on a daily basis, then eventually it's going to become a habit. Eventually it's going to be repeated. It falls into the category of repetition. Every morning you're getting into this state of mind where you have all of your employees and you get them in check. You give, wow. So then every day with that repetition, your mind would then go to work every morning when you wake up to set your employees straight and to have that team meeting so the day goes well.
Right. The application of the repetition would be just like if you were really leading an office. With enough repetition, you set the tone and the attitude and the standards of the office.
Oh my God,
Good
I'm
stuff,
going to have
right?
so much fun with this.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we were to conclude today's episode, wrap up with exercises or a power question, what would that be?
Well, for an exercise, I'd really like to invite you to just step into these two mindsets with me really quick and just feel the difference between the both of them. So we'll begin now with mindset one, with thought one. And I'm really going to feel these things. So hopefully you can feel it through the screen as well, and just kind of come to this mindset with me right now. So I am shitty. I am totally unlikable. I don't know what I'm talking about. My legs are too fucking far apart. I'm not tall enough. I have a lisp and my teeth aren't straight. I literally don't even, like, nobody likes me. Not one person likes me. I don't even like myself. And I just don't know where my life is going. It's just going down the drain. So that's a mindset that can fall into place. And that's definitely a dark and lonely mindset. So I hope that you can go into that mindset and realize that, number one, you're probably not there. You're probably farther up, right? So you kind of felt that, and you're probably feeling pretty thankful inside that you're not as low as that. And now let's step into a super high mindset and see how that feels. So I'm going to invite you into mindset 2. And this is, I am perfect the way that I am. I am perfectly imperfect. I love my eyes. I love the way that they sit. I like my weird comedy. I think that it's enjoyable. And I think that I'm smart. I feel like I just wasn't meant to be average. There's like something inside of me that's just saying that I was never meant to be average, and I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight to be better. I don't know what the fuck I need to do, but I'm gonna give my life to God, and I am gonna be better. And I'm gonna be everything that I set out to be. Now, that mindset feels so good, doesn't it? So I hope that you could allow yourself to step into these two mindsets and really realize that you can continue on a path with a mindset. You can continue to repeat the same things in your head every single day, or you can choose today to start repeating different words in your head to bring you to a different space in reality, to bring you to a different experience, to make you feel good, to make you feel good about yourself, to make you love yourself. And this is all through the power of repetition. So if you repeat mindset 1 every day, you will wind up there inevitably. And if you repeat mindset 2 every day, you will wind up there inevitably.
Yeah, good stuff. I definitely felt a difference between those two
Yay.
mindsets. And so, if I were to add a power question of my own for the day, I would say, what thoughts are looping in your mind today? What thoughts are looping? Because we have to catch it first and then we can address it. But yeah, really good stuff today on the power of repetition.
Remember to tell your friends about us. We love jumping on here and sharing our knowledge with you and helping you grow and be better and just live an overall easier and happier life with our deeply passionate and obsessive careers in the human mind, mental health. Don't let these episodes go in one ear and out the other. Let them sink in and give yourself permission to reap the real benefits that each and every single one of Enter the Mind's episodes holds.
Yeah, so thank you all for watching, listening. We'll see everybody in next week's episode. Did you find at least one gold nugget in today's episode? Then please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And finally, if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/enterthemind.